What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another review video. Big shout out goes out to Pamila for reaching out to me and asking me to review their very unique electric bike. This is the E3 model. And just for size comparison, I'm 5'8", I weigh 160 pounds, and this is what I look like on this bike. The sitting position is very comfortable and the seat is very comfortable. In the front we have a generic fork, which is actually pretty decent for what it is, and we do not have suspension in the rear. This bike is a hardtail. In this review I'm going to go over everything there is to know about this electric bike. There will be chapters down below, so feel free to skip around to whatever part is of interest to you. But first, let's get started with the specs. So this is the Pamila E3 mid-drive electric bike. It features a 350 watt, 1000 watt peak mid-drive motor with 60 Newton meters of torque, coupled with a 48 volts, 15.6 amp hour removable battery. Pamila claims that this should give you a range of up to 40 miles depending on riding mode and riding conditions, of course. We have 20-inch by 3-inch tires, coupled with mechanical brakes, front and rear with 160 millimeter rotors. This bike also features a front suspension fork for a smooth, comfortable ride, a decently large and very comfortable seat. This bike also has folding foot pegs instead of your traditional pedals, and we also have a decently sized storage bag which can be removed. In the front of the bike we have a headlight that's decently bright, and in the rear we have a tail light and an active brake light. That is always important. The total weight of this bike is 68 pounds with the max load capacity of 264 pounds. And up on the handlebars we have our rear brake, our half twist throttle, our on-off buttons and mode selector buttons. In the center we have our color display, and on the left side we have our front brake, our headlight switch, and a horn. And that is pretty much it for the specs. Now as far as the price, this current model goes for $699, but I will have a discount code in the description along with a link where you can save $100 off this thing, and that's a pretty decent deal. Now before I do the speed test, just a few things that stand out to me right off the bat. First and foremost is the look of this thing. Very, very nice design that this bike has. Now it does have this storage bag. You don't have to have it on there. I just think that it adds to the overall look. That's one. The second thing is that they did away with pedals completely on this e-bike, and instead we have these foot pegs over here that kind of fold into place and snap back. Very interesting, and I actually really like that. And lastly, and probably the most unique thing about this e-bike is the fact that it's mid-drive. Now I've reviewed so many e-bikes on this channel and 99% of them are a hub motor in the rear. This is a completely different approach that they took. We have this motor, mid-drive motor, connected to this chain to a single gear in the back, and it's just such a different experience. Now usually the chains have a marking on them telling you what kind of chain it is. This one does not, so I couldn't find any information, but it looks like a typical bicycle chain. Very interesting that they chose to go this route. But with all that stuff out of the way, let's jump into our speed test. Now before we do the speed test, I do want to show you the starting procedure. This bike has like a two-stage startup, let's call it. The first stage is turning the battery on. We have a switch on the battery that must be switched on in order for the bike to turn on. And once you're on the bike, we have a power button over here. You hold that for a couple of seconds and the bike will turn on. Now when you do turn the bike on, it's going to be in P mode, which means no throttle. You have to squeeze one of the brake levers in order to come out of park mode or P mode into your pedal assist mode, and that is just done for safety. I actually kind of like that feature. Now if you do keep the bike idling for, I believe it's about 10 seconds or so, it will go back into P mode like it just did right now. Again, just for safety, so just squeeze the lever and it will come out of that. But anyways, this bike has 3 pedal assist modes. We have 1, 2, and 3. For our speed test, I'm going to be testing speed mode 3. Now, the last thing I want to mention before we do the speed test, I promise we're going to do it, but the last thing I do have to mention is this bike might come locked out of the box at 20 miles an hour, and you can unlock it to reach about 26 miles an hour. The way you unlock this bike is with the bike off, twist the throttle fully, squeeze the brake, and turn it on all at the same time. And you have to hold all three for 15 seconds. After 15 seconds, you can let go of everything, turn the bike off, turn it on again, and it should be unlocked. Okay, so we got all the technical stuff out. It is time to test our speed. I got my GPS app open and the speed reset. Sweet. And let's see how fast this thing can go. Okay, so torque right off the bat, pretty decent. It's not gonna fully yank you back, but it has sufficient enough torque, especially because of the mid-drive motor. And we're getting up to speed fairly quick. Bike is topping out at about 25.4, 25.5. Now this top speed will vary, of course, depending on your weight. Like I said, I'm 160 pounds. If you're a lighter rider, you're probably gonna achieve a higher top speed, but I saw 20. Oh, I saw 26 for a second. Okay, I was gonna stop and check our speed, but I guess I'll just keep on going till the end of the road to give this bike the benefit of the doubt. Okay, that should be enough for my GPS app to register the top speed. Let's see what we got. All right, so my GPS app is showing 24.6 miles per hour. Okay, so not the exact 26 miles an hour that was advertised when it's unlocked, but again, at the same time, I will give the bike the benefit of the doubt because two things. One, my weight. Second thing is it's fairly windy today, so maybe on a different day I might be able to achieve a little bit of a higher top speed, but regardless, 24.6 is all I'm able to achieve today. But anyways, that was our speed test. Now let's do our brake test. These are mechanical brakes with 160 millimeter rotor. They can be adjusted, but make my way up to about 20 miles an hour and brake. Oh man. Okay, so from that light pole to where I'm at, we're looking at about 12 to 15 feet or so. Again, this is just an estimate. So about 12 to 15 feet of stopping distance from about 20 miles an hour. And just to continue on what I was saying earlier, these are mechanical brakes. They can be adjusted, so you can give them more bite or less bite depending on how you want your brakes to feel. Second thing is they are brand new, guys, and they will only get better with time as they bed in, and you should expect better results. But anyways, that was our brake test. Now let's talk about the riding experience, and so far to me it's very reminiscent of my childhood days when I used to ride BMX bikes. So this thing is literally like the BMX of 2025, if I may call it that. Very nice, very zippy, very agile as well. Whew. It is very light for an e-bike, so this thing just, yeah, it just goes everywhere. Really, really nice. It just moves. That I really like. Now, as far as stability, let's see how it does right here. Okay, fairly stable over a bump. Yeah, fairly stable. It's just so light that it's the smallest amount of input with my body makes it go side to side, but it's not the bike's fault. It's just me being out of balance. But so far so good. Let's see how it does over a bump normally. Yeah, pretty good. So like I said, we do have a generic fork in the front. It is generic, but at the same time way better than not having anything, and it definitely adds to the whole BMX vibe I'm getting out of here. Just upgraded 2025. We got a little bit of a suspension on this thing. Now let's see how it does with a little curb hop. Not bad at all. This thing is so light. It's so crazy. This is actually the first mid-drive e-bike I've ever reviewed, and to me what's exciting is a lot of these e-bikes, you know, let's be honest, they're very similar in looks and in the whole hub motor situation. Very, very similar. This is definitely thinking outside the box. It looks beautiful. We have a mid-drive motor, no pedals, really, really slick. So I really, really like that. As far as the sitting position, like I said, I'm 5'8", and to me it's perfect. As far as the seat goes, very, very comfortable seat. Look at that, how soft this thing is. Very nice and grippy. I really like that. The pedals themselves, they're a little thinner, but it feels okay. I don't really see, it's not a dirt bike, you know what I mean? So for what it is, it's very nice. And the fact that they fold, very nice when you store this thing. Now, as far as power, this thing has plenty of power. Look at that, it just wants to lift up right away. Because it's a mid-drive and that chain is directly connected, this thing just wants to go. That is pretty crazy. And this pretty much means that if you knew what you're doing, you can definitely wheelie this thing. Now, the rear brake is on the same side of the throttle, so it might be a little weird in the beginning, but it's definitely doable. I do not know how to do that, how to wheelie, so I'm not going to embarrass myself, but it's definitely doable with this bike. It is so light. Another thing is these tires. Typically you see a 20-inch by 4-inch fat tires on all of these e-bikes. So being 3-inch wide, that is again different and just plays into the whole thinking outside the box and creating something that is completely unique and not like anybody else. But anyways, now let's test its hill climbing performance. To be completely honest with you, I'm not sure how well it would do on this hill climb. It is a mid-drive motor, so we should be able to kind of make it, but this hill is pretty steep, and it never comes across on the GoPro on camera, but it's pretty steep. It's about 20% grade or something like that. And let's see what we can do over here. We are definitely slowing down. Yeah, we're slowing down, but we're still climbing, which is a good thing. And the reason I do this test is because some of you guys might live in an area that has hills and stuff like that, and maybe a part of your commute. So just to kind of show you if it's capable of doing it. All right, so we are down to about 12 miles an hour, but it's doing it. Yeah, we did not stop. That is excellent. We made it all the way to the top. It's not a dirt bike, so don't expect anything crazy. As far as road riding and commuting, it should be decent, and it was able to conquer this hill. So just again to give you an idea of what it's capable of doing. One more thing that I quickly want to mention is this bike actually comes with some accessories. It comes with a bike lock, it comes with a pump, and it comes with a phone mount. That is always nice. I mean, they don't have to do that, and they are including it, so that's very nice. See how this thing does with one of these. We got some air on that one, I think. Let's try another over here. Ooh, I think we bottomed out the fork. Now, this bike is definitely not advertised as an off-roader, but I do like to push things to the limit on my reviews. I do want to test it on this section. Now, again, this bike is not meant for this, not really. It's more of a commuter, but I still want to test it. And the suspension and the power is really what I'm kind of after over here. And this little hill climb over here with no momentum. Will the motor have enough power? Okay, struggling, but managed to do it. Now, as far as power, this thing has plenty. That mid-drive, man, very, very hard to beat. See how it does downhill. Okay, again, this fork is generic and it's probably best suited for pavement, but what I threw at it right now, it managed to kind of handle. I wouldn't really take this thing off-roading too much, to be honest with you, or if any, you know. All I know is if I was a kid in high school and I got this to commute to school back and forth, or maybe go to the store and grab some snacks, man, I'd be loving life. That's what I know for sure, because I remember when I was in middle school that my parents bought me my first bike. It was a BMX GT Performer. I do not know whatever happened to that bike because it's worth so much money today. But anyways, back to the story. I remember when they allowed me to take it to school for the first time, man, I felt so much freedom. It was insane. I really remember that day till today. But anyways, I usually like to stop and kind of look over the bike and the different parts just to make sure everything is still in order. Is the headset getting loose? Is the headlight loose? But everything feels very, very nice.